brings beauty and blessing to all who live here. We pray especially for our law enforcement officers. Protect them as they go about their work for us. Guide this meeting tonight. Give wisdom to these leaders. And in the words of the angels who appeared to the shepherds on the night Christ was born, we pray for peace on earth and goodwill to all people. In the name of Jesus, we make our prayer. Amen. Will you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda changes. The only change that we have is item A. That zoning will be tabled to January the 17th. Was there another one that's going to be tabled also? Which one? Item F, which is a rezoning request, 3.35 acres on King Springs Road at South Cobb Drive. That will be tabled until the 17th also. Okay. I think we have a motion that's going to be, well, there's going to be an item added to the agenda, which we need to make a motion to add that item. Ms. Anulovich.
Yes, Your Honor. I actually moved to add an item to the agenda, and I believe we'll need to do this on formal business. Is that right, Mr. Cochran?
You can do it either way.
Okay.
Formal business is fine.
We'll put we'll go ahead and add it to formal business, which means that it will be, thank you, item 6G. Thank you, Andrea. And this is going to be to cancel the council meeting that is currently scheduled for January 3rd of 2017. Right now, we don't have anything on the agenda. We don't anticipate anything on the agenda. And the charter requires that we go ahead and cancel that meeting now. So we are going to go ahead and vote on that this evening. So I do move to add item 6G to the agenda tonight, which would be to cancel the council meeting that is currently scheduled for January 3rd, 2017.
Second.
All right, so we're making a motion to add the item to the agenda. And it'll be 4G, correct? 6G. 6G. All right, we get a motion for that. All those in favor of that motion, please vote. I don't know if you can do it. Can we do it, Terry, with the, okay. So we've got a, all right, so let's approve to add this item to the agenda now if you want to. So that is on the agenda now. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, so then we'll vote on it when we get to it, all right? Under the mayoral report, I do not have anything. So I have to wish everybody a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Land issue zonings and annexation is our next item, A 2016-40. That, as I mentioned, is to be tabled until the 17th. Do you want to entertain it? You want to do a motion on that,
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I move to table item 2016-40 to the January 17, 2017. There's a typo here, 2017 City Council agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second, table this item to the 17th. All those in favor of the motion, please vote. Approved 7-0. Okay, item 4B. I'm sorry. Is that right? Is that 4B? Is that correct? Y'all stand by. We've got some dysfunction going up here. Item 4B, 2016-470 is a public hearing, a no vote. The zoning request is E16-021, rezoned from R20 to R80 conditional for the development of 55 single-family homes, 10.63 acres, land lot 562, Belmont Avenue, Pierce Avenue, Reed Street, and Davis Drive, Trayton Homes. Is the applicant here? I see, okay. Mr. Jones, if you give us the background on that, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Baird. The next three items, 4B, C, and D, are all related. This is the public hearing portion for this particular issue. It's It was originally tabled by the Planning and Zoning Board, but it was, after passing the zoning board, it's receiving a recommendation of approval by our Community Development Department to rezone this from R20 to RAD conditional for 55 single-family homes with multiple stipulations. And our senior planner, Rusty Martin, is here if you have specific questions on this.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of or against or make any public comment concerning this rezoning of this property? Anyone want to make any comment? I have to get you sworn in. Don't be afraid for those that want to get sworn in. Okay. Scott, who all do we have to swear in? Anyone from Trayton Homes? If you're going to make any comments, John? Just you? Okay. Okay. Okay, if y'all have a seat. If you just have a seat, we're going to,
Okay.
yeah. This is in Ms. Anulowich's ward, is that correct? Ms. Anulovich? Yep. I guess you want Rusty to give them.
I do, yes, thank you.
Good evening. This annexation and rezoning request was heard by the Planning and Zoning Board on December 12th. It came out of that body with a recommendation for approval by a vote of 6-0. This property is located at 4335 Pierce Avenue. It's approximately 10.5 acres in size. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from R20 to RAD conditional for 55 single-family homes at a density of 5.1 units per acre. The subject property has a future land use designation in Cobb County of low-density residential. This request to rezone for 55 single-family homes will require a land use change from low density to medium density residential, which is up to 6 units per acre. Here's the proposed site plan. As you can see, there's a line of lots that front on Pierce Avenue, Davis Drive, Reed Street, and Belmont Avenue. Those homes that front on those exterior streets will have front entries on to those streets, and will have rear entry garages that come off the private street behind them. In addition, the homes that are on the public thoroughfare that bisects the east side of the property, those homes will front on that public road with parallel parking, and they will be accessed through the rear entry garage on the private drive. And we'll go through this as we move through the plan. The development is proposing the following setbacks: a front setback of 5 feet, a side setback of 5, a street side of 5, and a rear setback of 5. So this is the proposed public street through the development. They're also including 22 parallel parking spaces on this road. These streets have been identified as private streets and private drive, and these will be the streets that are create access for the homes. The existing lake on site will remain, and this delineates the lake as the stormwater management facility, as well as identifies the stream buffers around the lake. With this request, the applicant is proposing to preserve 4.67 acres in open space. That includes the area around the lake and then 2 pocket parks along Reed Street. With this request, there are several variances that the applicant's requesting. Those relate to setbacks, lot size requirements, impervious surface area coverages, and stream buffer encroachments. Staff has identified these variances, and we're making recommendations to on how to mitigate some of these variances. Here's a proposed rendering. The top rendering is an example of what it would look like at one of the corner parks on Reed Street, looking back to the site. And then the bottom view would be a street view from either Pierce Avenue, Belmont Avenue, or Davis Street or Reed Street. Here's a picture of the subject property. And then these are the adjacent properties. Community Development recommends approval of the request from R20 to RAD conditional with the following conditions. All the standard conditions that apply from Section 1201 of the zoning ordinance, which relate to the composition of the homes, protective covenants, open space, stormwater management, landscaping requirements, and street design. In addition to the standard conditions, we have some special conditions. Number 14 highlights all the minimum setbacks for each lot. 15 requires a minimum 22-foot driveway. 16 requires all the lots on the periphery of the site to be oriented to the existing streets. '17 requires all the water and sanitary improvements deemed necessary by the Public Works Director to be the responsibility of the developer. Number 18 requires a 5-foot sidewalk around the periphery of the site, so as well as through the middle. Number 19 requires new curb and gutter around the periphery of the site as well, along Belmont, Pierce, Davis, and Reed. 20 requires a guardrail along the lake along Belmont Avenue. 21 requires that the stormwater management facility be located on its own property and not one of the residential lots. 22 requires the protection of all trees that are proposed to remain on site. 23 reads Belmont Avenue is not appropriate for use as an impoundment structure for the lake. A new structure, i.e. earthen berm, detention wall, etc., shall be constructed to maintain normal pool elevation of the lake and provide stormwater detention. Number 24, the developer shall remove any portion of the lake along Belmont Avenue that encroaches into the public right-of-way. 25 is mitigation for any storm or any stream buffer encroachment. So if they encroach 1 foot into the stream buffer, then they need to recompense that 1 foot elsewhere along that same buffer. 26 is any required environmental permits or variances needed from state or federal agencies must be approved or acquired prior to submittal of development plans with the city. 27 ties the zoning to the site plan submitted with the rezoning application. 28 ties the building elevations to the building elevations that you've seen. 29 is a list of additional zoning stipulations that was added by the applicant, and one of those stipulations is the exclusion of any privacy fences within the development. That was something they worked out with the Williams Park neighborhood, that they didn't want to see privacy fences. So the developers agreed to do that, and that's included in that stipulation letter. And number 30, fencing shall be prohibited in the front yards of the residential lots between the home and the public right-of-way. Since we're dealing with 5-foot front setbacks, we want to make sure we maintain those yards and not clutter them up with fences and everything else. So those are the recommendations and the conditions that we propose. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
The issue of stipulation 30 with the fencing, is that something that will also be in their bylaws, the HOA bylaws?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they'll more than likely have a detail of the type of fencing that they're going to propose. And I'm sure Kevin Moore will be happy to
Okay.
answer that. Our issue with this is we sort of don't want to see what happened at Belmont, where it sort of creates no access to the homes, and they're not treated as front yards. We want
Right.
to make sure that those are truly front yards and usable spaces.
Okay, so you mean no fencing by the developer?
Yeah,
Okay, but if a homeowner comes in, because I guess what I'm thinking is what happens if you have a homeowner who comes in, they have a couple of small children and they would like to put a picket fence around their yard? Because typically, that kind of fence, 4 foot wouldn't
the
require
ordinance
anything.
says the recommendation says it's prohibited by
Prohibited.
the developer and anybody else. It
Okay,
doesn't-
so and I guess that was my question about the HOA bylaws. And I guess if a homeowner wanted to, they could apply for a variance.
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions of,
So, Rusty, so you're saying that they can have a picket fence in the front yard? Is that what you're saying?
Not along the
Church?
public thoroughfare.
Oh, they can't? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Just got to tell him because he's up there.
Oh, he's up there? Okay, great.
You need some help, because I
I
can't
do.
help
I
you.
need some help on the technology. I just want to make
That's
sure
right.
we get the site plan put up on the screen so that,
All right.
'cause that's what I'll be referencing, and that way folks behind me can see it, and as you can as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. For the record, my name is Kevin Moore, here on behalf of the applicant, Trayton Homes, in this application for rezoning. I think Mr. Martin did an excellent job of going through a lot of the technical components of the proposal and going through staff's recommendation for approval. Trayton Homes has worked very closely with staff, both the zoning staff and your professional engineering staff, in working through the stipulations and conditions that has been recommended. I always like to start and say, and Trayton Homes is in agreement with each and every one of those. We've worked very closely with them to develop those conditions, as well as work very closely with staff and some of the surrounding area residents, and having discussions and meetings as we've worked on this site plan and proposal. The site plan before you is a total of 55 detached single-family homes. These homes are expected to be in the price range of the 400s and up, with Trayton Homes being the builder in designing and presenting a vision for this 10.5-acre site that is somewhat of and it truly is, we talk about unincorporated islands. I was shocked that this was not already in the city when it first brought to me, but it's not. And this particular area has not been. But when we looked at it and to bring it forth here in the city for consideration of annexation and rezoning, one of the visions that Trayton has was to make sure that this project or this proposal for new homes would be a part of the community and not walled off or fenced off and become separate from the community. And that's why you have a design, and a specific design, that incorporates homes that front out onto the public roads, don't have rears, and also that don't have garages that front out onto the public roads, so that when you travel these existing public streets, what you'll see is front homes with porches that engage that street and engage those sidewalks and engage the rest of the community, and not separate from it. We think that's important in terms of establishing the type of character for redevelopment in this area. It also picks up on a lot of the redevelopment and character that has been exhibited what I'll call south of Hawthorne. In this particular area of the city, when you're south of Windy Hill, you're west of Atlanta Road, you have a lot of different types of redevelopment. Even it may be 1 or 2 lots that's occurred or more that's occurred in the Williams Park area. As it moved north to Hawthorne, along Hawthorne, you have some redevelopment that's occurred, some townhome projects that have even been done by Trayton Homes, projects that have been done west or east of this location as well, south of Windy Hill, and other more densely types of redevelopment that have occurred. In this particular area, that has not reached at any point in time that any kind of redevelopment or redoing of houses or building of new lots or anything else that's occurred. And so it was important for us and for Trayton to develop a plan that engaged that style of development, engaged the neighborhood, and not walled it off. And that's why you see some of the stipulations that you may not be normally accustomed to as it relates to fencing, in particular no privacy fences and no fences in the front yards, just because that's an intention on our part to engage that community in those streetscapes. In addition, you've seen the elevations of the homes. The idea and vision for Trayton Homes here is that when this is completed, the look that it's supposed to convey is one that it's been there for a long time, that it's been a part of the neighborhood for a long time, and that you see that coming through with those types of home elevations and designs. And then part of that is also in keeping this lake. For those that have lived here for a very long time, or maybe even who have just moved into this area, they know this area by the lake. It's a landmark for these homeowners and people who are longtime residents or new-time residents in these surrounding streets and areas. It is coming at no small cost to Trayton to be able to do that. That lake, because it's been there for so long, does require certain developmental features that will be required whenever you deal with a body of water like that. It must be a new dam or impoundment structure must be installed and constructed by Trayton Homes, and that's why you see that stipulation. That's what that's talking to, is that the road, the public right-of-way, has served as that dam for a long time. We don't like for the public to be liable for that, and so that's why a new dam has to be built along there, as well as other care to the lake and surrounding area will have to be done. But we want to keep that. It's not only a feature for the new homes proposed by Trayton, but it's a feature for the community as well. And that's likewise important for us and for Trayton Homes, is that it remain. In addition, you'll note that the new public street that is being installed to, again, pick up on that connectivity. If you'll see on the right-hand side of your site plan through the middle there, that's not a private street that comes through. That's a new publicly dedicated street that'll have parallel parking, much like you would be used to seeing along a public street such as that, where people can park in front of the homes that they're visiting. That's a new publicly dedicated street, which again will provide that connectivity through the neighborhood and not simply end in a cul-de-sac in this neighborhood. We thought that was important as well, so that all homes, as you drive through and around here, front on a public street. There's only 5 that do not that you'll see. Actually, 6 the homes that you'll see, they actually front out onto the lake. But that's more of a neat feature of this property that can become part of this community as well. But all other homes actually front out, and you don't have the rear ends of those homes out on the public streets. Likewise, the conditions that staff has proposed, in addition to the conditions of our December 12th letter, all are a culmination of the discussions we've had from an engineering standpoint, from a planning standpoint, and from a community standpoint. I want to remind you, when this first came in, and I spent a little time talking about the cost of development as it relates to not only keeping the lake, but some of the other developmental costs that you see with the amount of road frontage that's here, with new sidewalk, curb, and gutters, and so forth, that will be a part of this. This project originally came in as a mixed residential project of 88 homes, having townhomes kind of clustered in the middle with some single-family detached along the exterior. We had a lot of discussions with staff about that, a lot of discussions with some of the residents that we were in touch with, and revised that plan to arrive at what you see today, which is a total or a maximum of 55 homes. And for those that are here tonight that maybe don't know what that means, it means that if approved, no more than 55 homes can be constructed here. And also that it's to this site plan, meaning that's the site plan of development. That's how it will be laid out, with the conditions that we've discussed, with those types of homes that we've discussed, by a home builder who has its roots here in Cobb County and in the city of Smyrna since the early 1970s. They care about their product and care about their name, and will certainly be able to execute this in a way we think will be splendid for this area. We've been, so far, have had a warm reception with those we've discussed, been able to meet with, and sit down with, and discuss these plans with. With that, I'm here to answer any further questions that you may have here tonight. Mr. Cliff Poston, principal of Trayton Homes, is also here and can answer any questions that I might not be able to. And with that, we'd respectfully request your approval of this rezoning and annexation, subject to the staff conditions, as well as our letter of December 12th, which kind of brings it all together from our standpoint with the commitments that we've made to the community. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Moore? Okay. Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There were some folks that were sworn in, a couple, 3 people. If y'all want to come forward, if you still want to make a comment, tell us who you are and where you live at, and any comments you'd like to make.
My name is Kirsten Gasly. I live at 1340 Belmont Avenue, 2 doors down from the corner. I think this is a great asset to our neighborhood. I just have a few concerns. First of all, traffic. Since Dixie Avenue has been cut off and we can't go west that way anymore, getting across Hawthorne is at the railroad tracks is getting horrible. You can't leave in time for work and not run into trains. And I would like to propose that there be a light put in at Reed Street. If you try and leave in the morning, you have to cross your fingers hoping somebody's going to let you out so you can turn left and hope you don't get hit by somebody who's coming the opposite direction. I think there needs to be some type of plan for that.
Do you mean Reed at Windy Hill?
Yes, ma'am. It's terrible trying to get out of our neighborhood, you know. I've lived there for over 40 years, and this is the worst I've ever seen it. And I know there's going to be a lot of traffic when they start building. Another concern I had was that the lake be protected enough on the side of Belmont Avenue where children can't get there. I know the property now has a fence on it. There are children in the neighborhood, and kids tend to, you know, go toward water. One other item that they brought up was that the houses there would be running through the pump station that's already on Belmont Avenue, which happens to be across the street from my house. And
I've not heard that, but I haven't heard.
they mentioned it in the planning meeting. And my question then was if it would be adequate to take care of that.
Turn on my mic. I know there have been a lot of conversations with the city engineer and with Public Works, and they are very confident that the pump station will be added. That pump station was actually upgraded, gosh, just a few years ago, and as you probably well remember when that process was going on. But they do feel that the pump station will be fine.
Has there been any consideration of a red light at Reed Street?
There has not, but that is definitely something that we can consider, and I think that that's a good suggestion.
Been kind of closed off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck with trying to cross two railroad tracks, you know, downtown Smyrna and Hawthorne and.
Yeah, well, and I anticipate that most of the traffic coming to and from this development is going to come down Reed Street. I would.
There would be a red light?
No, I'm not saying there will be a red light, but I'm saying that that's definitely something that we can have a conversation about here. And I know I've been. Yes, I think that is something that we will definitely consider, and I think that's a very good suggestion.
I don't know if you've ever gone down Windy Hill Road.
Every day.
Going east.
Every day.
Forget about it.
Yes.
But I need to go west.
Right,
you know?
right.
And it's, I mean, you can get out in the middle, but then it's like.
No, that is nice, because I agree with you, because I'm at the Hawthorne intersection every day also, and I definitely agree that it's gotten more and more fraught.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for giving me a chance to talk. My questions, I think I agree. I live right on the.
Just for the record.
I'm Shannon Karasi. I live on 1363 Belmont Avenue. I live right on that corner of Belmont and Davis, and so we purchased our home 5 years ago. We love the lake, so I'm happy to hear that it's staying. That's a big thing. But for me, I was personally gravely affected by the installation of the new sump pump station. And my question more, and it was nice to see in the presentation that you guys did, one of the stipulations was that the developer's responsible for any damage that could happen. I know the pumping station can handle what we have now on the block, which I think is about 55 homes, but 43 homes, but we're adding 55 more. And that concerns me gravely because I had complete sewage law in my basement and in my home. So when you say the developer is going to take care of it, I know that you say that it's, pardon? It's capable of holding the new developments. Are there going to be, is it the capacity now to handle that many homes, or is the capacity going to have to be changed and we're going to have to redo it?
I think that's a question best directed towards Public Works, and your situation actually did come up when we were having conversations about this, because that is something that we don't ever want anything like that to happen again.
The city did an excellent job.
Well,
remedying it.
I appreciate that, but regardless, that was a horrible situation, and that did come up in the conversations. I don't know if Mr. Stokes, if you want to address the pump station itself.
Yeah, when we upgraded the pump station, we took into consideration existing development, what the station would handle then, and then we increased the capacity of the station to handle 750 more houses that were already in that basin. So basically, we keep a tally of what's developed on Old Roswell, Highview Drive or Highview Avenue. Some of that area runs into it, so we keep a tally of what's going on, and these 55 houses are part of it. So right now, we're probably down to about 600 additional houses that can be built in that area.
Okay, so that's a drop in the
Right.
proverbial
Right.
bucket.
Mr. Stokes, isn't it true that we dropped about $3 million into that Belmont outfall 5 years ago?
This is a different
But it's
basin.
nearby, it's a capacity issue.
I think the Belmont outfall you're thinking of is over across South Cobb Drive.
I'm talking about capacity, though.
The
Which is what
capacity, correct. This area does push into that part of the system, and it can't handle all of it.
Thank you.
So we're in good shape sewer-wise.
Thank you. Shannon, does that?
Yeah, that
Okay.
answers that one, and then I do want to second the traffic. I mean, it's really, really painful to get out on Windy Hill to try to go to 75 now, even though I'm turning with the flow of traffic, but we're going to add another 55 to 110 cars that are trying to go to work too. So I know we're having parallel parking that's put on Reed Street, and now I guess parallel parking right in front of my house. But I think it's overall a good thing. I just want to make sure that we're not going to be adversely affected so that the community grows and then we're pushed behind.
Yeah, I think the first time we met, dealt with that pump station, and she'll wear you out if it's not right. And but I think we've made it right. So I mean, I think with Scott explaining the capacity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. My question is for Eric Randall. I'm looking at the site plan, and with the stream buffers, there are some lots that are falling in there, but could you explain how that is being worked out as far as the compensation for that?
There is a stipulation that where the proposed lots get into the impervious buffer, and just for a quick refresher, there are 3 buffers associated with this type of water. And I say there may be. I've reached out to state EPD to confirm that buffers do in fact apply. And the reason I'm asking the question is that there are short cinder block walls along part of the shore. That may imply that buffers are not necessary at that point, because with a wall or a bulkhead situation, there is no point of rested vegetation, so buffers may not apply by definition. But we've gone forward on the conservative answer that if they do, this is what we would expect to see. And the proposed plan keeps out of the city's undisturbed buffer. If you recall, there's a 25-foot state undisturbed buffer. There's a 50-foot city undisturbed buffer that overlaps that, which means nothing can be done there. You can't grade, you can't put anything there, you can't build a dock there without permission. Outside of that 50-foot undisturbed buffer is a 25-foot impervious buffer. That area can be graded, that area can be landscaped, but it can't have any impervious area in it. There are about 5 or 6 lots, as I recall, and I'm just looking at it here real quick on the plan. There are a few lots that do encroach into the impervious buffer. And to make up for that, they've got an equivalent area identified elsewhere, either have or will, that says, hey, we're going to contribute this additional area that's not actually buffered and make sure nothing ever gets built there. They can't come back later and say, oh, we want to put a pavilion over here if that area is already designated as the additional recompense area for the undisturbed buffer that they impact. And the disturbed buffer. The undisturbed buffer is recognized by the state as a water quality measure. So by maintaining the integrity of that undisturbed buffer, anything that runs off from the roofs of the houses proposed adjacent to the lake will filter through that area before it gets into the impoundment itself. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks. Can I answer any other questions while I'm up here?
Unless you know the answer to the fence around the lake.
I don't know that a fence would be appropriate entirely around the lake because of the flat slope. What we look at when we look at fences like this is if you have a 4-to-1, that is 4 horizontal to 1 vertical slope or flatter, even if somebody does get down into that, that's flat enough to be able to walk out. I'm not certain what the proposed depth of the impoundment is. And then when the impoundment is recreated adjacent to Belmont Ave to bring the lake out of the right-of-way and to actually get an impoundment that's appropriate, some sort of restriction may be accommodated that way, either a fence across the top that extends 30, 40 feet back towards the homes. We'll look at that during the design review, but we can address that where it's appropriate. Again, where most of the lake is pretty flat, even if somebody is down in there, it's flat enough to be able to walk out of. This is not a quick filling type of a thing. There's a constant pool there, and there has been for a while. Anything else? No. Thank you.
Anyone else that was sworn in that would like to make any comment concerning this rezoning request? Mr. Moore, anything you want to finish up? We good with everything? Okay.
We're good. I think
All right.
staff did a good job.
I'm going to close this portion of the public hearing. And we'll go to C, which is approval of ordinance 2016-21, annexation request. 100% of the owners requesting annexation. All tracts of land lying and being in land lot 562, 17th District, 2nd Section, Cobb County, Georgia. A total of 10.63 acre tract being known as 1435 Pierce Avenue, Smyrna, Georgia 30080. The effective date of this will be January the 1st, 2017, and it will become a part of Ward 3. This is also a public hearing on this portion. I would ask if there's anyone who would like to make any public comment concerning this annexation request. The record show there is none. Mrs. Nutowich.
Yes, this is actually one of the larger unincorporated islands that we have in Ward 3, so I am delighted to bring this into the city. I think that it is to everyone's benefit that this rezoning take place with the city and not through the county, which is how it would be done were they not requesting this annexation. So I think that that is a good thing. The point that we've gotten here tonight with these 55 homes, this is the result of a tremendous amount of collaboration between Triton Homes and between representatives from the surrounding area. And I want to thank all of the parties that took place in those conversations, because I think that as a result of how well they all work together, we do have a development that is going to be, I think, beneficial for this community. You know, I've heard from folks say, well, I miss the cows. There used to be cows there. So I miss the cows. I'm going to miss the pasture. But they also understand that if the land is going to be sold, it is good that it is sold and annexed into the city, and that what's being built on there is a result of the collaboration and conversations between the community and the property owners and the developers. It's nice when we can have annexations and rezonings that proceed in this fashion. And I think that traffic is a concern, or it is something that we are definitely aware of. I'm going to move the conversation forward to talk about adding a light at Reed Street. I think that definitely merits some exploration. And I do, because I drive over there every day also, and I wait at the light at Hawthorne. I pass by Reed. I try to make left turns under, in and out of Reed. I think that merits discussion. So at this point, I do want to go ahead and move to approve this item 4B, and this is we're not voting on this, so we're moving down to C is what I'm making the motion for. And I do want to move to approve item 4C, which is 2016-521. That's the approval of ordinance 2016-21, the annexation request with 100% of owners requesting annexation. All tracts of land lying and being in land lot 562, 17th District, 2nd Section, Cobb County, Georgia, a total of 10.63 acres known as 1435 Pierce Avenue, Smyrna, Georgia, 30080. The effective date will be January 1st, 2017. This will become part of Ward 3.
Second.
That motion is second to approve this annexation request. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That's approved 7-0. Item D, 2016-522, is final vote, zoning request Z16-021, rezoning from R20 to RAD conditional for the development of 55 single-family homes, 10.63 acres, land lots 562, Belmont Avenue, Pierce Avenue, Reed Street, and Davis Drive, Triton Homes, LLC. Ms. Anulovich.
Yes, at this point, I do move to approve item 4D, zoning request Z16-021, rezoning from R20 to R80, conditional for the development of 55 single-family homes, 10.63 acres, land lot 562, Belmont Avenue, Pierce Avenue, Reed Street, and Davis Drive. The applicant is Trayton Homes, LLC.
Second. Motion second. That includes the stipulations that were read at the beginning of the meeting. Okay?
Ken, did you want to come up before this, make a comment?
Since Ms. Anulowicz brought up the traffic at Reed and Windy Hill, staff would like to throw a suggestion out on how to handle that.
Okay.
You make it a condition for the developer to do a warrant study at Reed and Windy Hill. And if it warrants, then the city could handle it at that point. Just a suggestion.
I think that's a great suggestion.
I don't know what's a warrant study.
A traffic study at Reed and Windy Hill.
I never had heard it called a warrant study. Okay, but
Meaning it doesn't warrant a light.
No, I think that that's a tremendous day. I'm wondering if the applicant's representative would like to come speak to that, or if he would like to have a moment to speak to his.
To speak to the one with the checkbook
Yes.
before I spend his money, but yes, hold on.
well, we were almost there. To be honest with you, I don't know that, if, in my opinion, this is while we're waiting on the attorney, it probably warrants. There's a lot of traffic there anyway now.
Yeah, yes, I just see, yes, the study is fine. We're happy to do that, traffic impact or traffic warrant study for the intersection of Reed and Windy Hill.
Excellent. Well, then I will. Do I need to make the motion again, Mr. Cochran, or are we?
You would just add that stipulation.
All right. So I do move to approve item 4D with the added stipulation that the applicant will conduct a warrant study for the purpose of determining whether a warrant study for a traffic light at the intersection of Windy Hill and Reed.
You know, you might could, since we're doing that Windy Hill Road addition, Croy Engineering may have the information or could help with the information now. But if you want to make that part of your motion, then.
Yes, yes, I have made that part of the motion.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
So isn't what Croy Engineering is working on a different section than where this falls, though?
No, I think this is all probably part of it, I would think.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve. Is this correct?
Second, yes.
And with those stipulations, all right? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That's approved 7-0. Thank you very much. Item, this looks like E, public hearing zoning request, Z16-020, rezoning from future commercial to GC conditional for the development of 5,500 square foot commercial building, 0.535 acres, land lot 523, 1270 Concord Road, SuperTax Inc. Is the applicant here? Okay. Mr. Jones, will you please give us the background?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Planning and Zoning Board heard the rezoning request in November 2014, and the agenda item is advertised as a rezoning request to general commercial conditional. The recommendation that's coming before you is from the Community Development is that it be recommended for approval, but the rezoning be limited commercial for this development. And that was recommended a vote of 7-0 by the P&Z Board.
Okay. Rusty, do you have something on this? Before we do this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who's in opposition to, or that would like to make any public comment concerning this zoning request, rezoning from FC to GC? Okay, the record show there is none. This is in Mr. Stoner's ward, which I'm sure he's going to let Mr. Rusty Martin make a presentation.
All right. The property location is 1270 Concord Road. It's approximately a half acre in size. The applicant is requesting to go from future commercial to general commercial conditional for the construction of a 5,500 square foot two-story commercial building, which will serve as office space for the applicant, Supertax. The applicant currently has a location off of Windy Hill Road. As part of the Windy Hill improvement project, the city is acquiring their property, so they're looking to move to a new location, which is this site. The future land use designation for the site is medium density residential. A land use change from medium density residential to neighborhood activity is required. Here's the proposed site plan. As you can see, the building is pulled all the way up to Concord Road. The parking is located in the rear, and the detention will be in the rear. They're proposing the following setbacks: a front setback of 25 feet, a side setback of 10 feet, and a rear setback of 30. They're requesting a variance to reduce the front setback from 50 feet to 25 feet. That is the only variance request for the whole development. The rest of it complies. They're proposing 23 parking spaces, and then their detention facility will be located in this area. Here's the proposed building elevation. We got this elevation in between the P&Z board and this meeting. So this is realistically what it's going to look like. Here's the subject property. It's currently vacant. And then the adjoining properties around it. As Mr. Jones stated, the applicant is requesting to rezone the property from future commercial to general commercial. Staff is recommending that the city council rezone the property from future commercial to limited commercial. We feel that the number of uses and the intensity of the uses in the general zoning category are not compatible with the surrounding area, that the limited commercial zoning would be a better fit for the area. And with that said, we recommend approval of future commercial to limited commercial with the following conditions. The standard conditions from section 1201, in addition to special conditions. Number 8, the development shall maintain the following minimum setbacks: front setback 25, side of 10, and a rear of 30. Number 9, requires any dumpster proposed for the site be enclosed with brick on 3 sides and then a gate. Number 10, all utility boxes and HVAC components be screened from adjoining properties and from the right-of-way. Number 11, the commercial building needs to have entry doors that front on Concord Road. Number 12, binds the applicant to the site plan submitted. And 13, binds them to the building elevation submitted. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Rusty, the P&Z board, do they recommend general commercial, or do they recommend?
They followed staff recommendation and
Limited
recommended
commercial.
limited commercial.
Thank you, Rusty. I've had a chance that the applicant can come up real quickly. And
Board, Mayor, how are you tonight? Happy holidays.
well, thank you for coming up. And so how long have you been over on Windy Hill Road in the sense of that location?
Okay, well, first, my name's Rob Barfield. I'm the developer, design, build contractor, owner, agent for the Supertax relocation to the 1270 property. They've been there a while. They've just actually finished renovating their space probably less than 2 years ago. So this is kind of a unplanned move. They want to stay in the city of Smyrna. The site's a great site for them. They want a marquee building. They want to take the next step up. Their clientele and their business is that good. So, we're building for the future.
Well, we're glad to hear that, and we're glad we were able to find a spot here in Smyrna for, obviously, the widening of Windy Hill Road and that impact.
Right.
So we're glad you were able to work with our staff and find a location and keep the business here in Smyrna.
Absolutely. Rusty, thank you, and we were amenable and in agreement with the changes in staff recommendations.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you
Absolutely.
again.
Any other questions?
All right. Your Honor, at this time, we're going to make a motion on item, what is that, 4E? 2016-469, zoning request Z16-020, rezoning from future commercial to limited commercial for the development of a 5,500 square foot commercial building on 0.535 acres, land lot 523, 1270 Concord Road, Supertax Incorporated.
Second.
A motion is second to approve this zoning request. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. Waiting on somebody. That's approved 7-0. Item F, 2016-432, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, this item will be tabled. Zoning request Z16-018, rezoning from OI conditional to RTD conditional for the development of 26 townhome units at 3.35 acres, land lot 528 King Springs Road and South Cobb Drive, the Waters Edge Group. Mr. Stone, if you'll make that motion to table.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion to table to Tuesday, January 17th, 2017, to the City Council meeting at the request of applicant for zoning request Z16-018.
Second.
Have motion is second to table till January the 17th, 2017. All those in favor of the motion, please vote. It's approved 7-0. Item 5 is previous licenses. We have none. Item 6 is formal business. A 2016-505 is approval of final FY 2016 budget amendment. Mr. Jones, the background, please.
Mayor, as you know, annually the city is required to conduct an audit of its financial statements. Unlike some governments, we are required to have a balanced budget at the end of the year. This is a requirement that's placed on us, and we do this at the fiscal year. In order to close out the calendar year and finalize the financial statements, adjustments have to be made to the budget, which account for various transactions that were not originally budgeted or planned. And our finance director, Kristen Robinson, is here if you have any specific questions regarding the budget amendment.
This is under Mr. Ron Fennell's committee.
Mr. Mayor, we've discussed this as a formality and meeting requirements. I'd like to ask the finance director if she'd like to add anything to the written communications she shared with council.
No, I mean, this is standard. We do this every year just to true everything up before we release our financials. So,
Any questions of Ms. Robinson? If not, Mr. Mayor, I move approval of item 2016-505, the approval of the budget amendment for fiscal year 2016.
Second.
Motion second to approve this amendment. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. It's approved 7-0. Item B, under formal business, 2016-527, approval of FY17 budget amendment for staff merit increases. Mr. Jones.
Mr. Mayor, the Mayor and Council put in its budget for FY17 $270,000 to be placed in a general fund contingency, and that contingency was, at the time it was budgeted, intended for merit increases, but in order for that money to be moved into the general fund, it takes action by this body to move it out of the contingency line item. And our finance director, who has going to play a few roles tonight, is here if you have questions.
Mr. Ron Fiddle.
Mr. Mayor, this is previously approved as a category and a line item and a dollar amount. This merely allows us the administrator has pointed out, us to move the money into an account for disbursement. And those are based on merit evaluations by the department heads, which have been done, and allows the department heads to make those disbursements per our council approval. So I move approval of item 2016-527, the fiscal year 17 budget amendment for staff merit increases.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Anything you want to add to that?
No.
Good. All those in favor of the motion, please vote. Approved 7-0. Thank you very much. Item C is 2016-528, approve a reclassification of 10 instructors at the Wolf Center from subcontract labor to part-time employees and amend the budget accordingly. Mr. Jones, are you still up?
Mr. Mayor, this is another one of those issues that require action by the council. Under the IRS guidelines, 10 of these instructors have to be classified or reclassified from subcontract to part-time, regular part-time employees for the city. This will increase our official head count for a number of employees by 10. We are not hiring 10 new people. We are simply calling them part-time employees instead of subcontract employees. And that's an IRS designation, which also will require us to add a few more dollars into that line item for FICA to cover them for their tax liabilities. The dollar amount for these employees are not going to change. Their hours are not going to change. Their duties are not going to change. And the dollars that are being paid are already budgeted in the contractor line item for FY 2017.
Anything you want to add to that?
That's all of it.
Mr. Fennell?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. This is an opportunity to finally move us in compliance with federal standards and completes the task that we have had on our plate for a little while. And there will be a slight obligation on the part of the city to pay FICA and some of the taxes. So happy to do that to get us in full compliance with federal requirements. Any specific things you want to add, Ms. Robinson?
No, I mean, it's a small amount. It's less than $2,000 for the taxes, so it's a small amount.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of 2016-528, approval of the reclassification of these 10 instructors at the Wolf Center for subcontract labor to part-time employees and amend the budget accordingly.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. Approved 7-0. Item D, 2016-501 is approval of JRM Management Services Agreement for 2017 Smyrna Food Truck Tuesday. Mr. Jones, the background.
Mr. Mayor, we had the services of JRM Management assist us with our Food Truck Tuesday events here this year for the first time. I thought they did an excellent job, and our communications director, Ms. Jennifer Bennett, is recommending this be reapproved for the upcoming Smyrna Food Truck series.
Let's see, that is, says another, which is that correct?
I was actually wondering that myself. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's either Ms. Wilkinson or Mr., doesn't matter, or Mr. Fennell, but somebody do it.
however,
I'm happy to move approval,
I'm happy
Mr.
to-
Mayor.
I'll second. All right, Susan, second. Perfect. We're good.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. Approved 7-0. Item E, 2016-520 is approval to purchase a new Ford E450 SWAT truck as part of the FY17 Vehicle Replacement Fund at a cost of $94,328.10. Mr. Jones, the background.
Mayor, the current Ford SWAT van is a 1996 model, and our fleet maintenance director is requesting that be surplused. Apparently, it's at the end of its useful age. This replacement fund is the appropriate expenditure for the new SWAT truck, and as you said, it was budgeted. We had $95,000 budgeted, and it came in at $94,328.10.
Pretty tight, pretty close. This has been Mr. Doug Norton's Public Safety Committee.
Derek Norton, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. Not the first time.
It won't be the last.
As Mr. Jones said, the current SWAT vehicle is over 20 years old. At this point, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 6E, 2016-520, approval to purchase a new Ford E450 SWAT truck as part of the FY17 Vehicle Replacement Fund at a total cost of $94,328.10.
Better call you Doug, really.
Yes, sir.
I went to school with a guy named Doug. I didn't hardly know the guy. Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote.
That was for our vast viewing audience in Iowa, just so you know.
I keep calling him Doug. Why don't you just change your name to Doug? 7-0. You look like a Doug anyways. Okay. F, 2016-523 is approval to reappoint Ward 5 Representative Maggie McGarity to the Keep Smyrna Beautiful Board. This is a 2-year term to expire December 2018. There's no background needed. Ms. Wilkinson.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. So at this time, I want to just say a few things about Maggie McGarity. She's very energetic, and she volunteers for several things already: the Atlanta Botanical Gardens and the aquarium. And she has been doing this now for a couple of months, and she has agreed to continue, and I'm very excited to have her as the Ward 5 representative on the Keep Smyrna Beautiful Board. So at this time, I would like to make a move to approve item 6F, 2016-523, approval of reappointment of Ward 5 Representative Maggie McGarity to the Keep Smyrna Beautiful Board. This is a 2-year term to expire December 2018.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. It's approved 7-0. Thank you very much. We got item G is what we added to the agenda, which would be, I guess that'll be 2016 whatever, and that's to cancel the council meeting of January the 3rd, 2017. Mr. Fennell?
Okay, you want me to?
That would be,
Mr. Nolowitz wants to make the motion. I'll happily second it.
Yes, at this time, microphone. At this time, I would like to move to cancel the council meeting that is currently scheduled for January 3rd, 2016, and that actually is a Tuesday evening because the first Monday of the month is January 2nd. That is the day that New Year's Day is going to be officially observed.
it's 27.
2017. Thank you. And maybe by May of 2017, I'll stop writing 2016 on my checks.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Motion 2 seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion? That's approved 7-0. Item 7 is commercial building permits. We have none. Mr. Jones, item 8 is consent agenda. Will you please read the consent agenda for
Yes, sir.
council's approval?
There are 7 items for your consideration on the consent agenda. Item A is approval of the mayor and council meeting minutes for December 5th, 2016. Item B is approval of the mayor and council committee of the whole minutes for December 1st, 2016. Item C is approval of the 2017 Smyrna community event dates. Item D is award bid RFQ 17-015 Concord Road parking lot, the lowest bidder Tucker Grading and Hauling for $288,151.51. Item E is authorization for the city of Smyrna to accept and for the mayor to execute the 2017 LMIG Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant application from GDOT in the amount of $460,079. And as a side note, that's about $110,000 more than what we received last year. Item F is approval of renewal with GMA for 2017, our workers' comp insurance coverage. And item G is an award for RFQ for Bronner Hall floor joist reinforcement. This is the second phase to the lowest bidder, Big Bear Construction, for $68,800, and to continue the repairs to the existing floor joist system.
Here, motion we approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion? It's approved 7-0. Item 9 is committee reports. We'll start tonight with my very good friend, Mr. Derek Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no committee report tonight. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a safe and happy holiday.
Ms. Terry Nulowich. I'm sorry, Andrea Bluestein. It's been a long day.
You know, he is.
Man alive. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I'll remember that. I don't have a committee report. Why bother? But anyway, I hope every one of you has a very happy holiday, very happy and safe holiday, whether you're celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever. I just hope you have a very happy holiday. Thank you.
Now, Ms. Nulowich.
Yes, thank you. I also have a very, very brief report. I think as everyone, if you are a sentient being in Ward 3 and in Smyrna right now, you are aware that the Publix has opened, and that has been, I've been there, I think, 4 times already since they opened. They've done a great job. The management there has been extremely responsive and helpful, and they really will order anything you ask them to order. So if you are the kind of person who looks for Blue Runner Creole style red beans, you will soon be able to find them at that Publix. But it's been great. It's been a very, very exciting, long-awaited event for Ward 3, and I am delighted that it has opened. Christmas is coming. Hanukkah begins on December 24th and ends on January 1st. So it is going to between Christmas and Hanukkah and the New Year and any other holiday you may be celebrating. If you are celebrating Festivus, you will have an opportunity in just a few moments to air your grievances. So all holidays are going to be celebrated. So with that, I yield.
Mr. Corky Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No formal report. Just wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. With that, I close.
Ms. Susan Wilkinson.
Well, I was just looking on the city website at the city calendar and noticed that Santa is going to be at Aunt Fanny's cabin on December 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. And I also would like to ask Jennifer, is there any other dates that he's going to be there, or is this in the next few days? And encourage people that would like to go visit Santa.
I think you're looking at the homepage of the website for that. We had to pull some of those off the homepage so we could get some more things on the homepage, like the closing notice. So if you follow through to the calendar, you should see everything that's listed on the dates for the city. That would include whatever's going on at the library too.
Okay.
So yeah.
I believe there is an event I saw, the block party for the 24 months and younger, and is that correct?
I haven't memorized all the library event dates, but if you look, you'll notice some special things coming up too. Something that we had show up is very popular on social media was the pre-announcement for the Harry Potter exhibit coming.
Oh,
so
cool.
pay close attention to that one, and lots of fun stuff. Right?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And with that, I yield.
Mr. Doug Stone.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no report this evening. Just want to wish everyone, as mentioned before, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a prosperous New Year. I yield,
Mr. Ron Fennell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the Finance Committee team and our staff for the budget amendments that we put together to keep us on pace and in proper compliance by year, and they do a good job. We've got a busy year ahead of us coming up, and so the next 6 months will be a lot more time together. But it's nice to have a good team that we can rely on to make sure we get all the tickets punched, and that includes the administrator and deputy administrator. Appreciate the team for doing that. Secondly, I want to thank the Smyrna Community Center staff for helping us to put on a great event for the Cobb Municipal Association annual meeting. I want to single out Terry Graham and Christy Ullman for helping out, and Jessica Myers over at the Community Center. Everybody did a great job. And, of course, local restaurateur, Porchlight Latin Kitchen, Andre Gomez knocked it out of the park, as he usually does. Thank you and his team for what they did to help make that a success. It is the holidays, and during the holidays, whichever one you celebrate, please travel the roads safely. If you are at a party and you're celebrating and you imbibe, please designate a driver or hand off the keys, call your taxi cab or Uber. And for the most part, if you can't get home and you don't have a friend and nobody will pick you up and you don't have any money, call AAA. They have a tow-to-go program. If you and your car are both drunk, they'll take you home for free. AAA tow-to-go. So keep that in mind. With that, I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday.
If you and your vehicle are both drunk, they'll take you. It's not a bad thing. I don't know that we've mentioned it or not, but City Hall will be closed all day Friday. Is that correct? Normally, we would close a half a day, but we're closed all day Friday. Mr. Jones, anything else? Mr. Cochran?
Nothing.
You don't wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year? And
No, sir. No. And happy Festivus, right? No, everybody in the community, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Ms. Graham, anything? Heather, anything? Okay. Show cause hearing, we have nothing under that. We got a couple, 3 people signed up for citizens input. Alec Backery, 3459 Shawnee Trail, comments.
Now, following the airing of grievances, we do have the feats of strength for those of you celebrating Festivus at home.
My first comment tonight is there's 30,317 registered voters in Smyrna. In the last national election, 24,204 voted. That's a turnout of 79.83% for the national election. Yet our last 4 elections have been 20% or less. I hope people take note of these figures. We have more, again, to lose locally. And why we can only get 20% with the next election being less than 3 years away. I hope we can find that 80% that take an interest in local elections. I'm sure people spend over an hour waiting for the national voting, yet you can only take 15 minutes in pre-vote in Smyrna. But I find this absolutely amazing that 80% feel the national election is more important than where they live in a local election. I don't understand this, and I hope I can, in the next couple of years, talking to people to see how they get motivated for the local elections. My second comment is, yesterday morning at 3:30, I noticed an illegally parked car on our street. We have a problem with a couple houses. I called the police and asked them to meet with the officer after he did whatever he was going to do. I met with the officer, explained there are no parking signs, which have been there again for 34 years. But for the last 6-7 months, some of the officers are not actioning the signs. I asked the city attorney a month and a half ago to show me where it's in writing, where the officers have discretion when you have clear signs, no parking, handicap, or stop signs. I have received no answer from him. I mean, I feel that a reasonable request in a reasonable time should happen. I did not get an answer. I'm asking the police committee to look into this. It's a simple solution. You send an email to all the shifts, and they at least leave a warning on the car or ticket it. Signs don't mean anything unless you enforce them. And I don't understand why this discretion factor comes up. It's got to be fair for everybody. No parking, like handicap or stop signs, means something. If the city attorney can't give me an answer, maybe she should get another attorney. But I hope this police committee will get together and get all the shifts on the same page and enforce these signs. They do mean something. Thank you.
Shannon Kursai, I think she's already 1363 Belmont Circle. She was here for the rezoning. Laurel Angers, 2344 Old Spring Road, info, danielsflooring.com, Windy Hill Corridor.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, my daughter thinks the mayor is a rock star. She met you at school, and when you walked in, she was,
really?
Yeah, you at Belmont Hills
Oh, yeah,
Elementary. You
yeah.
went down to the school, and so when you walked in, that's the president. No, honey, it's not the
stop
president.
that.
That's she's like, he came to our school. I said, no, honey, that's the mayor. But she was like, that's Mayor. That's Mr. Bacon. So, all right. So she wanted to come up front and get a closer look.
Yeah, let me get my glasses off.
So anyway, thank you so much. I want to start off by saying I lived in Smyrna before I joined the Air Force and then came back here afterwards. So I've been a long-time resident. We actually live on the north side of Windy Hill, where you're going to be making some improvements to that Windy Hill corridor. I'm a flooring contractor, and most of the people in my neighborhood are blue-collar workers. We work, you don't see anybody from my neighborhood in these evening meetings or at your workshops because we're working all day, putting dinner on, getting them bathed, getting them to bed, and that's it. And we pretty much cast our votes for you guys. And I'm one that votes all the time, just so you know. I voted for Stoner, Wilkinson, and Bacon. Those are my elected representatives. But I love Smyrna. We love the festivals in the green. We love the new green area. Love what you've done with the old Belmont Hills Shopping Center. Our kids go to Belmont Hills Elementary, which is now a STEM school. It's a great elementary school. So I was really shocked and concerned and shocked, I suppose, when I found out about the plan for the Windy Hill corridor, removing the businesses on the north side, building kind of an access road, and basically almost like an expressway through from Concord Road to South Cobb Drive. I do understand the issues with this area. It wasn't a planned development, so it's ugly. It's houses, they're run down. You've got property owners that don't necessarily maintain the properties that they rent out to businesses. It's an eyesore. It's a traffic hazard. You've got people turning left out of both sides, crashing into each other. You have to run across the street to get there. But it is currently a live-work community. The people that live in our neighborhood work at the daycare centers. Oh, okay.
You're
Anyway,
okay. You're okay.
Work at the daycare centers, walk to the high school, walk to to Belmont Hills. And you're going to cut our community in half by this roadway as far as us getting back and forth to the school. But the other thing is, for me, my lawyer's on the corner, the Diaz attorney's office. My dentist is Alfaro Dental right off of Windy Hill. My eye doctor is Eyes Are Us. I get my shirts printed at Shirt Shanty right off of Ventura. So it's like my little hub, because I hate to drive. My whole little life is right there because I really support small businesses. I'm a small business owner. You may have heard of Daniel's Floors.
We do now.
Fines. My business actually is located in Roswell, but I can tell you as a small business owner, it takes so much nerve to make that jump, to quit your job and say, I'm going to go out on my own. And then the sacrifices that you make. I mean, it's like, well, we could invest in the business, or we could get this, or we can invest in the business, or we can get that. So you can see where we live. We're not super rich. Pretty much the money goes into our business and building a business. I know that these business owners, and like I said, I just found out about this from talking to the business owners. Oh, these guys went to the Smyrna Bilingual Academy there. So I'm friends with a lot of people, and this is my community. What I would like to propose, and I know that you guys have this pretty much set in stone, but I can't think of another analogy other than, you know how when you get lice, you used to have to shave your head, and now you don't? There's treatments. This is like shaving your head when you've got lice. You don't have to do that. There's other solutions. And what I'd like to propose is putting new facades on those buildings, putting medians so that the people are forced to turn right and then make a U-turn at the intersections. I'd like to propose landscaping and other things that'll make the community beautiful without necessarily throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I feel like public sentiment is going to be, I mean, most people in my neighborhood have no idea that this is around the bend. Like I said, we cast our vote, we go about our lives, and we hope and pray that you all have our best interests at heart. I love living in Smyrna, and when I found out about this, I'm like, well, it looks like what's coming down the road is probably, I see the developments are coming, I see this big 55 home development, and I see the writing on the wall. You're wanting to make everything upscale, big, gorgeous homes, and that's gorgeous. I would love a big, gorgeous home, but I can't afford a big, gorgeous home, so I rent a little bungalow right off Windy Hill. The problem is I see that it looks like we're going to be eliminating affordable housing in Smyrna, because when I went to see where else in Smyrna, where else in this area can we move to when the eventual rezoning of our neighborhood comes along, or when some developer says we want to tear down your house, where are we going to go? And there's just not affordable housing in Smyrna for working families like ours
And
anymore.
this, you brought up several good points, and I've let you go over twice as long as I've ever let anybody go.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, or fortunately, we've been working on Windy Hill Connector for improvements for a long time, and have had several public hearings, and I'm sure that I'd be glad to talk to you about some of the things that you're talking about, but we're way past doing new facades on the businesses and left-hand turns. This is a major project that we're well underway. We spent a lot of money, on this project so far. But I'll still be happy to talk to you about anything you'd like to discuss.
I definitely would, because the more I've been speaking with other people, the more when they find out that, we counted the businesses, including those office buildings and the businesses off the side. It's like 81 businesses, each with like 5 to 10 employees each. So you're looking at all the people that are going to be out of work, all the people in our neighborhood that are going to be out of work, all the people that are going to be put in cars to go elsewhere. And I just feel like maybe when the plans were put in place, and plus, I'm starting to see some improvements in the neighborhoods. People are seeing the improvements coming down the road in Smyrna and taking it upon themselves to improve the area. So even though the wheels are in motion, I think that your legacy has been great in Smyrna, but when it comes to shutting down 81 small businesses, I think that public opinion is not going to favor that.
Okay.
And right now, it's not something that's really widely known in our community.
Thank you very much for your comments. Like I say, you did a record. You went 5 minutes over.
I am so sorry.
This is
I'm
Christmas.
so sorry.
That was good. So.
And Merry Christmas
Merry
to
Christmas.
everybody. Thank you
very
so much.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Okay. Any other business to be brought before this body? If not, I declare this meeting adjourned at, somebody help me out here, 8:27. Yeah, you need for me to sign that stuff? How long is it going to take to do it?